Hello and welcome, beautiful people. Welcome to Liberate Your Life, a conversation around the shadows, shadow work, integrating darkness. Such a great honor to have you all here with me. So before we jump into our conversation, I'd love for us to just ground in the space with one another. We're going to do just a short meditation just to welcome ourselves into the space, into this container. So I invite you to close your eyes if that feels good for you. And we're just going to take 3 cleansing breaths. Nice deep inhale through the nose, filling up the belly, and exhale through the mouth. And again, a deep inhale through the nose, and holding for just a moment at the top. And exhale. And one more time, the deepest inhale of the day, filling up the belly, sending the air into the heart space. And exhale to let it all go. Tuning into the unique rhythm of your own breath now. Just making sure your feet are nice and firmly planted on the ground. Maybe shifting your awareness to any points of contact that your body is making with the ground. Maybe it's your feet, thighs, your glutes. And really just feeling the support of the earth beneath you. And taking a deep inhale from the bottoms of your feet all the way to the top of your crown. And exhaling from the top of your crown all the way to the bottom. And being present in your own body. Dropping into our heart space now. Just asking our hearts to remain open for the duration of the session. And when you're ready, and slowly blink our eyes open. And meeting. Mm. Mm. I'm just giving what your body needs right now. Strength. So give your body some movement. Mm. Mm. Yes. Mm. Awesome. Mm. Thank you. So, with that sense of grounding, we are going to jump straight into our session. And we are talking about liberation. We are talking about shadows integrating our darkness so that we may really step into the fullness of our light. And so life is really a spiral, and we're either moving deeper into the self, deeper into the journey of that spiral and of what it means to be alive, or we're stuck in karmic loops, stuck in a cycle, repetitive cycle, doing the same thing over and over and over. And karma can really play out for lifetimes until someone has the strength, has the courage to look up from this loop, to look up and to look inwards and to really see what is it that I'm being taught here, to have the courage to ask the question, what is actually going on here? What is this? And how do I choose something different? And so, just a side note, sometimes it can feel like we are playing out karmic loops and we are stuck in the cycle. But really, we are around the corner from our breakthrough. If there is an awareness of a cycle repeating itself, that awareness is an indicator that our breakthrough is just around the corner. And so sometimes it can feel like we are in a loop, but really we are on the cusp of stepping into a new phase of being. And so Earth is a school, right? We are on Earth school. And so everything is a lesson. Everything is a lesson in compassion, in empathy, in letting go, in finding balance in duality, in the duality of life. And so many years ago, I had a vision of how Earth came into existence. And it's very interesting because it felt like these two opposing energies coming into force and falling in love and being so drawn and connected with one another. They couldn't get enough of each other despite their energies of origin being opposing forces. And so it was almost like this Romeo and Juliet story that I was seeing playing out, where these energies were being pulled apart and the energies of origin really feeling like these two energies should not mix, should not be together, and pulling them apart, but they were just so in love. So in love, they couldn't get enough of each other, and so they fused and they created this form called Earth. And so Earth is such an awkward place to be. It can feel really weird and like, oh, what is this? Because we are the fusion of these opposing forces in one. And so life is really all about finding the balance of these opposing energies within itself. And that balance will look different for all of us. Some people really need more love and more light and more kindness and compassion in their lives. And some people really need more assertiveness. They need to feel more of their anger, more of their rage, so that they are able to protect not only themselves, but other people around them. And their life's journey may be finding balance in their darkness, whereas others might need to find balance in their light. And so that balance will look different for all of us. We are all, some of us need more of something than others, and others need more of this thing than others. And so we're really all just navigating, finding our own balance. And so in my family, there are I have many family members who see me as the poster child for love and light and, you know, love and light. And while I am a total advocate for love and for light, what some of my family members don't know is that I really had to embrace my darkness in order for me to have such an open heart. And so, love is the liberator of the shadows. Love is the anchor that makes it possible to journey into the shadows. So there does have to be some sense of love within self in order to face oneself. And so love is the liberator, love is the anchor, but the shadows can be even more of a liberator than love itself. And the shadow can only liberate if there is love. And so, like I said, love is the anchor that makes it possible for us to journey into the dark. So, what is the shadow? What is shadow work? What are these terms? And I get asked this question quite often. And so I'm going to tell you the shadow is any part of self that feels a sense of shame, of needing to hide, of needing to not be seen. And so it's the part of us that we generally don't really like to show to the public. It's a part of us that we like to keep in the shadows. And it's really any lower vibrational frequency. So what I mean by that is it's something that pulls down, whether it's pulling yourself down or it's pulling others down. It's the part of yourself that has this, it feels like a pulling downward energy. Um, so, and like I mentioned, my shadow may be anger and victimhood and shame, but somebody else's shadow may be acceptance of love, may be pushing away grief. So when I say lower vibrational, all of our emotions are divine. They are all meant to be felt and experienced and held in the body at some point. So no one emotion is lower vibrational in itself. But what I mean by that is that what I mean by lower vibrational is that it pulls you lower. So there's this sense of like in your body when you feel it. So that is the shadow. The shadow, the shadows are those those negative parts of self, the self that likes to gossip, the self that likes to judge, the self that likes to self-loathe and be a victim, and oh, nothing's working out for me, and I'll never be good at this thing, and that could never be me. It's that voice that pulls you down. And so shadow work is the accountability. Shadow work is ultimately holding yourself accountable for everything in your life. Everything. Shadow work is making you the center of responsibility for what you see in your life. And so the shadow often likes to externalize, likes to blame, oh, that person did that to me, or oh, I'll never be good at this thing because I didn't have the opportunity to go here, or I should have learned this thing when I was younger. And oh, so terrible. And so shadow work is the work of realizing that no, babes, you are the center of responsibility. And so everything in your life, you are in control of. And I know that can be a very scary thing to face, a very scary thought to witness, because then what does that mean? What does that mean about myself? What does that mean about the way that I'm showing up? What does that mean? It can be very overwhelming. And it can be scary. It can be really scary as well. But what would happen if you embraced that scary, if you embraced that fear? And so shadow work is not at all about getting rid of your darkness or getting rid of your shadow. It's not about that. It is about becoming aware that you have a shadow in the first place. Becoming aware of that voice that might be telling you that you aren't good enough, or you're a victim, or you're not pretty enough, or whatever your shadow is saying to you. Just the awareness that there is the shadow is already such a huge part of your shadow work. That awareness, the power in just being aware of your shadow. And so once we're aware of the shadow, then we can start to understand it. We can start to become friends with it. We can start to journey with it. And so understanding that you have these habits, these tendencies, or whatever it is, excuse me, or whatever it is, once you have an awareness of that, then you can start to be in control. So getting to know your shadow really allows you to channel it when it's necessary, and keep it on a leash when it's not. And so, for example, when somebody is pushing my boundaries, my shadow may come forward and exert that 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 boundary and say, oh no, that is not gonna fly here. And so it's really about learning about when to channel certain energy and when to channel your breath. Mm. And so we are not running away from anything, but rather we're integrating everything. And so I know a lot of people who feel like they were really, really hard done by as children. And, you know, they were. And so that definitely does impact, it does play a role on how a person is able to function in their adulthood. And so, their parents really put a lot of pressure on their little hearts and their little brains, and that wasn't their fault at all, at all. And so we can acknowledge that having a difficult childhood definitely does hinder your ability to function as an adult. And so the first step of shadow work is simply just being honest. Just being honest about how that stuff from your past maybe is affecting your present. And so just that honesty, just that awareness of, you know what, this thing from my childhood did affect me, and it's causing me to close up my heart today. It's causing me to not trust people today. It's causing me to lash out and scream at random people when I feel like I'm not in control. So just that awareness is already the first step of shadow work. And it doesn't even have to be from that far back. I've had a lot of shadows that I've had to work through that have come from later on in life. Stuff that really impacted my heart, really impacted my trust. And so a lot of my shadows have been shadows that have come later on in life, stuff that I've had to move through that came from adulthood. So it doesn't even have to be stuff from way back when. But the truth is we can only blame for so long. We can only point the finger for so long until we have to take a look at the three pointing back at us and take some responsibility. Okay, your parents did this stuff. Now, what are you going to do about it? And you can choose the karmic loop, stay stuck, stay in victimhood, inflict the same pain onto people that come after you. Or are you going to choose the life spiral? Are you going to choose something different? Are you going to choose to accept that there maybe are some things that are hindering you, that are affecting you, and then choose something different? And that can be very difficult. It is very difficult to take accountability, to take responsibility for your own life, for your own choices that come next, everything that happens now. It can be a very scary journey. But that's why we do it together. We have community, we have support, because we can't do it alone. Just take a deep breath there. And maybe accountability just looks like feeling the full extent of your emotions. Even just that, just allowing yourself to fully feel, that is shadow work, where we've repressed or intellectualized our emotions and getting to a space where we allow ourselves to fully feel sad, feel depressed, feel angry, feel the rage, scream and kick and do what you need to do so it can move through, so it can get out of the body. Or maybe you need to get to a rage room and just beat the shit out of some chairs. Maybe you need to scream into a pillow or go get a boxing class. And you know, a lot of us empaths, we repress our rage. And repressed rage often manifests as resentment. So if you are holding onto some resentment, maybe it's some rage that really just wants to pass through. So I know that it's hard. It's hard. It's hard as work, okay? But I'll tell you one thing. If you are trying, if you are trying in any way, shape, or form, trying to heal, trying to be better, just trying, then, oh, my love, I just want to take this moment to honor you and commemorate you and really just celebrate you, because it's amazing. It's amazing, and you're doing amazing. You're doing so amazing, because this shit is hard. It's hard work. And so if you are trying, if you are out here and you're trying to better your life, you're on that self-development, you're on that healing, you're on that spiritual plane, then babe, you are a warrior. You are a goddess. And I am so proud of you. I am proud of you. Okay? I am proud of you. And a round of applause, actually. Woo! A round of applause for you, because it's amazing. It's amazing that you're doing this work, that you're trying, that you're even trying, okay? Some people aren't even out here trying to try. So the fact that you are trying, even if it's just little baby steps at a time, babe, you're amazing, okay? Another round of applause. Keep going, okay? You got this, and I'm proud of you, and you're amazing. So, and the truth is, even if we aren't getting it right, okay, but we're trying, we're taking the steps, then that's amazing, okay? Because we are in the spiral. Okay? We are in the spiral. And sometimes we're going to circle back to something that feels familiar. But we're not in the loop. We're not in the loop. Looping is where you're not even in the phase of awareness. You're not even aware. You don't even know what's going on. When you're in the spiral, there is an awareness. And so even if you're doing the same thing, even if it feels like you're in the loop or you're in the pattern, you see yourself doing the same thing and you're like, oh my gosh, like how am I here again? But you have that awareness, then honey, that's the source. That's the secret source. Okay? Because when you have an awareness, even if it feels like you're doing the same thing, they will 100%, there will come a point where that awareness is just, it's not enough anymore. It's not enough to just be aware, and you will shift. You will shift. So that's one side. On the other side, if it feels like we're looping, but we may actually just be experiencing a similar thing, but on a deeper level of self. And so we're seeing how far it is that we really come. We're getting to witness our growth, or we're getting to be initiated into a deeper sense of self. So it may feel like we're in the same place, but we're experiencing it as a different version of self, or we're experiencing it to be initiated into a deeper sense of self. And so when there's awareness there, there's always something magical. When there's awareness, it's either we're shifting, we're on the verge of a breakthrough, we are experiencing it, but as a different version of self, or we're experiencing it and we're about to initiate into a new sense of self. So whenever there's awareness, you've already done an amazing job. You're already there. So give yourself credit. Give yourself the credit you deserve. I know that we can be really hard on ourselves sometimes. But know when there's awareness, you've already done the hardest part. You have already shifted from that karmic loop into the spiral just for the fact that there's awareness. So magical. So really, everything is always happening for us. It's always happening for us. And so we're there to see how much we've grown, or we're there to shine light on some of the wounding that we may still need to work on. But it's all for us. It's all for our development, for our highest good, for our highest timeline. And if we can shift our perspective to see things this way, then everything becomes a lesson, right? That earth school that I was talking about in the beginning, everything is a teaching. Everything is showing me something about myself, something that I want, something that I don't want, the type of friend that I want to be, the type of friend that I don't want to be, the type of partner I want. And so then everything is beautiful. Everything is beautiful because everything is teaching me, everything is showing me. And so no matter how ugly it gets, how dark and ugly it gets, it's all beautiful. All beautiful. And so keep asking yourself, why? Keep asking yourself, why? Don't ask the universe why. Ask yourself. And that is the source. Your why is the source, is the magic. Every single time something comes up, ask yourself, why? What is this showing me? What is this showing me? And keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into that why. Make yourself the center of responsibility. Give yourself that power. You hold the power. Keep reminding yourself, you hold the power. You hold the answers. And it can be very scary. Like I mentioned, it can be very scary because once we start asking ourselves why, then some answers start coming up. And now shit around the way I was raised is coming up. Shit around that thing that my mom did is coming up, or my dad did, around extended family dynamics. Shit around ancestral wounds, worldly wounds, colonialism, separation, all that shit is coming up. And I don't want to see it. I don't want to see that. I don't want to know that. I don't want to look at that. And sometimes it's easier to not know. It's easier. I had so many moments on my journey where I was like, fuck, man. It was so much better just being ignorant. Because it's easier. It's easier to be ignorant than to face yourself. But that's what keeps you in the loop. Just going round and round and doing the same thing over and over and over. The loop of ignorance, the karmic loop. And karmic cycles can play out for lifetimes. Karmic circles can play out until somebody looks up and is like, what the hell is actually going on here? Decides to hold onto themselves with love and journey into that dark shit. Journey into that why. Why am I like this? Why am I thinking like this? Why am I judging this person? Why do I like to gossip? Why? Every time something negative arises, ask yourself, where did that come from? And I will say, going on a healing journey is a privilege. You cannot be in survival mode and be asking yourselves these questions, because when you're in survival mode, your whole being is dedicated to survival. Your whole being is wired to keep you alive. And so it's much harder to break from what you know when all your being is trying to do is keep you alive. And so that's why I'm also very passionate about healing in Black, Brown, queer, Indigenous spaces, because there are broader agendas at play that keep us from ourselves, that keep us in the survival mode, that keep us from asking these questions, from being curious, from inquiring deeper truths. And the thing is, you only need 1% of safety to get that ball rolling. You only need 1% of safety to really question your habits, question your intentions, question everything. And it can feel like you are going crazy. So crazy once you start to ask yourself these questions. Because now this box has been opened and all of the stuff is coming out, and you're just like, what the fuck? What is this? Oh my God. It can be a lot. And so, again, just taking a moment to honor you if you are on a healing path, on a spiritual path, just deeply honoring you and your journey, because I know that this shit is not pretty. Not pretty. it's it's not a pretty little cute cow. No. So, it's really isolating and it's weird and sometimes you don't even know how to human. How do I even be a person in the world? Especially if you are around people who don't have any experience with what a healing journey, what a spiritual journey looks like. It can really look like severe mental illness. It can look like mental breakdown. And this is why community is so important. Experienced space holders are so important because, there are a lot of frauds out there. And while they are out there, I believe that they hold their purpose as well. And I've worked with a lot of questionable people along my path, but instead of just being like, nah, fuck this person, fuck this work, I'm over this is all fake, I kept coming back to myself. I kept making myself the point of responsibility, asking myself what this was all reflecting back to me, what it was teaching me, what were these people who really felt like frauds to me. Oh, sorry. Um, what were they showing me? What were they teaching me about the kind of space holder I want to be? What to do, what not to do, teaching me about the type of person that I want to be. And also teaching me wisdom, teaching me how to pick up on these things now, moving forward, picking up on bullshit, which I wouldn't have been able to do if I had not walked with those people, because now I know what it looks like. And so I'm also wiser for it. I know what it feels like in my body. And so I've also learned to trust the language of my body. And I really hope to teach you to do the same, to teach you how to tap into the wisdom and language of your own body so you know what it's communicating with you, so that you don't have to walk the path with fraudulent bullshitters. You can just know already in your body what it feels like and how to understand the messages that your body is communicating with you without you having to go down the darker path that I had to. And so earlier I spoke a bit about childhood wounds and different forms of trauma, generational, ancestral stuff. And so sometimes our conscious minds can't access the root cause of those shadows. It's literally impossible for our conscious brains to find it because sometimes those programs came in when we were too young, or maybe they came in from a past life. And so when that is the case, then there are tools that we can use to access those parts of our subconscious brain, tools and modalities that we use inside of rooted evolution. So, meditative journeys, breath work, light language, sound healing, they all come in and they help us access the subconscious mind so we can release whatever shadows are lingering there. And so that's why this kind of work it's a lot more deep than talk therapy. It's almost like a form of therapy, but it's somatic therapy because our talking often can't access the subconscious. And so we often don't learn without experiencing something first. So more often than not, learning lives in the mind just because of the way that our systems have been set up. They've been set up in a way to learn in the mind rather than learn through the body. Because when something is learned through the mind, it is very different. It looks very different from when something is learned through the body. So the body is wisdom. The body is grounded. The body is rooted. And so that's why in rooted evolution, we are learning through the body. We are learning through journeying into the body, into the energy centers to feel what it feels like in these centers in the body. So, with all of that said, inside of rooted evolution, we are stepping into an embodied understanding of our chakras. We are journeying into each of our energy centers each week. And I'm going to teach you how to tap into your energetic body through deep visualization, meditative journeys, sound medicine, light language, so much more, lots of juiciness inside. And so everything we're diving into in this container has taken me almost 10 years to learn. And we are moving through it in 10 weeks. And I'm going to be 100% transparent. There is no quick fix when it comes to healing. There is no take this magic pill and all your problems will disappear. There's no such thing as that. And so as we're healing, there are many processes that take time. But this program will definitely give you the necessary tools to face your darkness and to learn how to transmute with ease. So we are journeying into our energy centers to reclaim our purpose, reclaim our power. And you don't have to go through earth-shattering experiences or journeys with fraudulent healers and just straight up bullshitters. You don't have to go through any of that to embrace your shadow. We are accessing the subconscious mind through our breath, through deep journeys. And so the work that we are doing will be just as profound. I don't want you to have to go through all the shit that I had to go through to learn my lessons. I want to help you with this foundation of understanding your energy systems so that you may flow through your journeys with your shadow, with your balancing of your light and your dark with so much ease, and also without having to consciously relive your trauma and heartache. We can just go straight there without having to talk everything through, without having to relive. We can just go straight to that energy point and clear it. So yes, with rooted evolution, we are going directly there, and you are doing the journeying yourself. I will be the guide to support you through it. I will be there with you, grounding in these energies of deep love, helping you transmute, but ultimately, you are the journeyer yourself. You are going into your energy center yourself. And so you are healing yourself. You are doing this healing work yourself. I am just there to hold and support you through your own journey. So beautiful being. With all of that said, if you have made it to this part of our discussion, of our session, of our time together, we are actually going to have just a little taste of what's inside rooted evolution. Mm. Mm. Just slow and feel my energy was motoring away there. so, so now we are moving into the next part of our session, where I really invite you to get as comfortable as possible. Lay down if that feels good for you, or you can stay seated if that feels good for you. So I'll just give you a second to get comfortable.